Hey everybody, Chief Meteorologist Brad Petovich here with an update on Debbie. Some good news, some bad news. I guess the good news, some drier air is pulling into the system, which means it's not going to get much stronger, and it's also going to help reduce the rainfall totals. The bad news is somebody's still going to get clobbered. The area getting clobbered has shrunk a little bit, if that makes sense. I'll talk about that in today's vlog. Now, trust me, there's still rain on the way. It's just those biblical totals have been reduced quite a bit in some areas, which is a good thing. So let me show you the overall view, and you can see it's a circulation. I mean, it's a broad circulation, and broad circulations are actually good because the tighter these get in the middle, you usually tend to see things kind of get stronger. It is over water, and this is a good example of why just being over warm water, folks, doesn't mean the storm goes crazy. There are other structural things in the storm, including wind shear, dry air, and the internal structure that really allow for storms to tap into that rocket fuel of warm water. You could have all the gasoline in the world. If you don't have an engine to stick it in, it's useless. So sometimes I think we get too simplified and like, it's over warm water, it should be going crazy. It's not the way it works in the atmosphere. There's a lot of other things going on. And so what's going on is the circulation in the middle has got dry air that's been entrained. Now, a couple things to note. You're probably saying, oh, it's a bust, it's not going to happen. Here's the thing. There are still these huge rain bands developing on the northeast side, and there's also a big rain band developing on the south side that's going to rotate around. The other thing to notice here is there's a big plume of moisture on the east side, so we're not kind of in the clear for heavy rain. I'm going to show you the water vapor loop. I showed you this yesterday and with the little Debbie joke, and some people didn't get it, but what water vapor is, it's a satellite image, okay, and it shows the amount of moisture in the top of the atmosphere down to the ground. So you see the dry air getting entrained in here. But the other thing you notice, it makes kind of a cinnamon roll, or in my joke, a Swiss roll look. And you see this cut quite often in large low pressure systems. But what I'm also noticing on this water vapor loop is this gigantic fire hose on the east side of the circulation that's still up here. You've got high pressure over Bermuda, which is helping to funnel in moisture. You've got the low, which is Debbie, and you've got a trough over here coming in that's going to pick it up. All of this is pulling in moisture. So somebody's going to get that fire hose. The question is, where does it go? The one thing that this dry air has done, it's helped reduce the totals today across the Grand Strand down to Charleston. They got clobbered yesterday. They don't need any more rain. So this is actually a good thing for them. The question is, as this tracks north and we get into the heating of the day, which is going to help these rain bands re-intensify with storms, as it pushes up in here, where does this fire hose go? Does it come back into Charlotte? And there's a pretty good chance that it does head back towards Charlotte. So let's look at the flash flood guidance for today. So the flash flood guidance for today shows a small area around Myrtle Beach to Wilmington with the extreme flood risk. For Charlotte, we're in the low, medium, and then the red is the high. But watch what happens as we go into tomorrow. That risk begins to shift inland, and that puts Charlotte into the high risk again, and that extreme risk shifts into areas of central and eastern North Carolina. So we still have that risk, and the reason we expect this to happen, because as the circulation moves inland, a couple things happen. It pulls these rain bands in, but once the system gets over land, you start getting development of showers and storms in the heating of the day over water, or that are over land that typically don't happen over water as easily. So you're going to see storms develop around this. And then we go into Friday, the risk shifts north, and then, boy, this becomes a big issue for New York, Pennsylvania, up into the Northeast, but our threat begins to go down. So let's look at the future cast. All right, so we'll start about noontime today. You can see the rain bands becoming more active. We'll go to about dinner time here. We'll stop this around 5:30. You can see we do expect bands to start wrapping up as this thing gets closer, but still okay in the Charlotte area. If you're on the coast down to South Carolina, this is where things could get nasty. So later today, as the heating of the day develops, I expect we will see the area that's in the extreme risk fill in today. And that's where problems happen, because once this band begins to form, even with the dry air wrapping around, what happens is this thing could close off, and that moisture plume, that fire hose I showed you, is still pumping water into here. And so these rain bands become more active. So don't discount the fact that, hey, the storm is weaker, there's some dry air in there. There's still going to be a heavy rain band. The difference is, instead of a huge area being impacted by the rain band, it's this narrow corridor. And where does this go? Does it go this way? Does it go this way? Either way, it looks like it's going to have a big impact. And I'll show you what I mean. So this is 10 p.m. tonight. We go into the evening hours, no real issues except for from Florence, Lumberton to Wilmington to Fayetteville. This is when the rain really ramps up. And then look at the overnight hours. This is 2, 3 in the morning. That rain band starts to pivot, And by tomorrow morning, from Raleigh to Charlotte, that rain band sets up. So it's all about tracking this major rain band tomorrow. And that rain band over us in the Charlotte area during the morning commute, I mean, this is going to be a long morning tomorrow. If that rain band camps on us like that, again, if that rain band is going to be producing 1 to 3 inches of rain per hour, you could do the math. I mean, just at a minimum, let's say it's over us by 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I mean, you could see how even an inch per hour is going to start totaling up to 6, 7, 8 inches quickly. And there's indications it could be over us for longer than that. So that's why we can't let our guard down just yet, even though I do think the totals will be less. The biggest concern for me is not that we'll see widespread 4 to 6 inches, but one narrow band somewhere over an urban setting or an area that has poor drainage is absolutely going to. This is 5 o'clock Thursday, and look at the rain still over us. Okay, we go to 6, 7, 8. After sunset into tomorrow night, the system begins to shift north, and you see the flash flood risk shift to the north. So Friday is looking fine. It's really Thursday. And honestly, from a timeline standpoint, literally all day, from pre-sunrise to post-sunset. So we're not out of the woods yet, even though the dry air is wrapping around. It'll be about tracking these heavy rain bands as we go into Thursday. Just a quick update on the totals. Let me show you those. I will start with the view of all of the Carolinas. So every single location in North Carolina is on this map. Please know where to find yourself. I will help point some things out. This is Charlotte right here in the middle of the map, 5.2 inches of rain. Raleigh, let me keep going over it. Raleigh around 6.7, Fayetteville around 8, Wilmington around 9 to 10. So there's still an area that could see 10 inches of rain. Hickory about 4 inches, Boone about 2 to 3 inches. So you get the idea. There's still some widespread heavy rain on the way. Wind speed wise, maximum winds gusting to maybe 30, 35. Some gusts in eastern North Carolina to 40. Combination of wet soil and that kind of wind certainly could bring some trees down. But those winds by themselves, not a big deal. It's because it's going to be raining so heavily that we could see some trees come down. So just plan ahead. I'll quickly show you Charlotte close up. There's the 30-mile-an-hour wind, possibly. Rainfall wise, I'll zoom in on our Charlotte folks, 5.2. So counties to the east, you're looking at closer to 6 or 7, maybe 8. If I had to ask me right now, what do I think totals? 4 to 6 inches seems very plausible. That's cut down a couple inches from yesterday, but 4 to 6 seems completely reasonable. And again, that's a pretty big deal if that happens in one calendar day. So just be on guard. I don't want you to say, hey, it's not happening, it's over. Until this is gone on Friday, man, we can't write it off. So that's why I say it's a good news, bad news thing. We see some better things developing in this morning. It doesn't look as bad. It's not getting worse, but it's not going away either. So stay weather aware for Thursday. We'll pull it back for Friday. Thursday is all about it. Lots of questions about travel. No issues driving anywhere this weekend, Friday. Flights, I don't see any flight issues other than the normal flight issues. I doubt they'll be weather related. Can't say. Call your airline. I don't know. They could have staffing issues, IT issues, equipment issues, all those other things. There's a bazillion other things that'll cause delays that won't be the weather. So make sure you're calling ahead before you make any travel plans.